I want to talk to you today about something that's deeply personal. There comes a time in every one of our lives when we find ourselves alone, when the noise of the world quiets down, and it's just us, just you and God. Silence has a way of making us confront ourselves. When the distractions are gone, when the busyness fades, we're left with just our thoughts, our fears, and our relationship with God. It's in that space, in that silence, that He speaks the loudest. His voice isn't always a thunderous proclamation, it's often a whisper, a soft prompting, a gentle nudge on your spirit. And to hear it, we need to be still. We need to allow the silence to do its work. When we find ourselves facing challenges, setbacks, or unexpected detours in life, it's easy to get caught up in the frustration of the moment. We focus on what's not going right, on the things we've lost or the doors that have closed. It's natural to feel confused or even defeated when our plans don't unfold the way we expected them to. But what we often forget is that our perspective is limited and God's view is infinitely larger. There's always a bigger plan behind the scene, a plan that we can't always see, but one that is carefully designed by a God who knows the beginning, the middle, and the end of our story. In our lives, we're often looking at things through the narrow lens of our current situation. We see only the small portion of the path directly in front of us, while God sees the entire journey. What may feel like a setback or an obstacle is sometimes just a redirection, a necessary pause in a much larger, more intricate plan that God has for us. The thing is, God doesn't work in isolation. Every event in our lives, even the ones that seem random or painful, is part of a larger story that He's writing. Nothing happens by accident, and nothing is wasted. It's uncomfortable, it's unsettling, and sometimes it's downright painful. But let me tell you this, God always has a purpose in your isolation. He does nothing without intention, nothing without a reason, and there's always a bigger plan working in the background. Isolation is not a punishment, it's preparation. And if you're feeling isolated right now, if you're feeling disconnected, I want you to understand that there's something God is doing in this season. And when you come out on the other side, you'll be stronger, wiser, and more aligned with His purpose for you. When we find ourselves in seasons of isolation, it's easy to feel abandoned or cast aside, as though the universe is punishing us. You might feel like everything is crumbling, like people are leaving you, and doors that were once open are now tightly shut. In these moments, it's natural to question yourself, to wonder if you've done something wrong or if God is angry with you. But let me tell you, this isolation is not about punishment. It's about preparation. That isolation, that period of invisibility, is essential. You may feel hidden from the world, unseen by others, but that's where the most important growth happens, deep inside, where your roots of faith, strength, and purpose are being established. Sometimes God removes the people, the noise and the busyness from your life because He needs your full attention. He needs you to be still, to stop moving in every direction, and to focus on what He's trying to teach you. If you're always surrounded by distractions, you won't be able to hear His voice clearly. When you're in isolation, God is shaping you, working on your character, building your resilience. It's a time for you to become the person who can handle what's coming next. You may be asking for blessings, for opportunities, for success, but if you aren't ready for those things, they can overwhelm you. So God, in His wisdom, isolates you, works on you, and prepares you so that when the time is right, you can step into the next phase of your life with confidence, strength, and wisdom. It's easy to misinterpret isolation as a negative experience because we live in a world that glorifies constant movement, connection, and visibility. We're taught that if we're not doing something, if we're not being seen, then we're falling behind. But God's timing isn't the world's timing. He doesn't rush, and He certainly doesn't waste time. If you're in a period of isolation, trust that God is using this time to prepare you for something greater. He's working behind the scenes in ways you can't yet see, What feels like a setback or a delay is actually a setup for the breakthrough that's coming. God isolates you to build you up, to help you grow stronger and more deeply rooted in Him. It's during these times of solitude that you gain clarity, that you learn to rely fully on God's strength and not your own. It's where your faith is tested and refined, and where you discover the power of resilience. The battles you face in isolation are preparing you for the victories ahead. So when you find yourself alone, remember this: God hasn't forgotten you. He's preparing you. This is your time to grow, to heal, and to strengthen your spirit for the work He has in store for you. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. When we look at life, it's natural to crave constant noise, activity, and movement. We're used to the hustle, the conversations, the sound of progress all around us. But there comes a moment, a season, when the noise fades and we find ourselves in the quiet. That silence can feel uncomfortable, even unsettling. But what we often don't realize is that God does His best work in silence. It's in these moments of stillness, when everything else is stripped away, that He moves most profoundly. That's where God revealed Himself. The world might tell us that we need constant action to find purpose, but God often waits for us to be still. It's when we're quiet that we can truly hear what He's saying. There's something sacred about the moments when we have nothing but silence. In those moments, God has a way of reaching the deepest parts of our soul. He meets us in our vulnerability, in our questions, and in our need for answers. The noise of the world can drown out His voice, but in the silence, there's clarity. There's a stillness where God's presence becomes undeniable. In our daily lives, we're bombarded with distractions, social media, constant communication, and the pressure to always be doing something. We're taught that silence is unproductive or even a waste of time. But God doesn't operate by the world's rules. He knows that real growth, real transformation often happens in the stillness. Silence is His canvas, where He can paint a new vision for your life, where He can work on you without interruption. Sometimes God removes the noise because He needs to get our attention. He needs us to stop running in circles, chasing after things that don't serve us, and to sit quietly in His presence. That silence, though it may feel uncomfortable at first, is where breakthroughs happen. It's where God does His deep, transformative work in us. The answers we seek, the guidance we need, it often doesn't come in the form of loud, obvious signs. It comes in the quiet moments when we stop striving and simply listen. When life becomes silent, it doesn't mean that nothing is happening. In fact, that's when the most important work is happening. Just because we can't hear or see what God is doing doesn't mean He isn't working. In the silence, He's planting new seeds in our hearts, developing our character and preparing us for the next season. The silence forces us to lean on our faith. It's easy to trust God when everything is loud, when life is full of activity, and when you feel surrounded by people and progress. But in the silence, that's when your faith is truly tested. Can you trust that He's working even when you can't see it? Can you believe that He has a plan even when it feels like nothing is happening? The silence isn't empty, it's full of purpose. It's in that quiet space where God is weaving together the next chapter of your life in ways that you can't yet comprehend. Sometimes we're so eager to fill the silence with our own voices, our own plans, that we miss out on the profound work God is doing. But if we can learn to sit in the silence, to embrace it, we'll find that it's a time of deep connection with God. In those still moments, we draw closer to Him, and we learn to hear His voice more clearly. The silence is not a void, it's an opportunity, a sacred space where God can speak directly to our hearts, revealing truths we might miss in the noise. God uses silence to refine us, to teach us patience, and to build our faith. It's not a time of inactivity, it's a time of deep internal work that prepares us for what's ahead. If you're in a season of silence, if you feel like life has quieted down and you're unsure of what's next, know that God is still moving. He's working behind the scenes in the silence, shaping you for the next phase of your journey. And when the time is right, the fruit of that silence will become evident, and you'll see that God was doing his best work all along.